What are your thoughts on this prices? Just give us that. What are your thoughts, your general thoughts on this prices of rice?
Yeah, it's part of the inflationary trend that has gripped the economy for quite some time. So a lot of commodities, together with other products, have experienced galloping prices for quite some time in the economy. Of course, we know that the situation also worsened recently as a result of the market reforms to correct some imbalances in the economy, but that had a side effect on commodities and also energy prices. So it's just part, food inflation is just part of the inflation that has bedeviled the Nigerian economy for quite some time. But rice is a staple food which a lot of people eat in Nigeria. Though I personally don't eat rice, I prefer beans as a cereal to rice. But a lot of people, especially young people, children, they prefer rice to any other thing. And so that underscores the importance of rice as being an important part of the diet that has to be affordable to a majority of the people in the country. However, as an aggregator on the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange, I am well acquainted with the price of paddy rice. Paddy rice is the fresh rice from the farm, which we aggregate and then we supply to millers who eventually mill the rice into the edible parboiled rice that you have already gotten prices for. Although at the aggregation point, the prices, although they have increased in recent past, because I know that about 2 years ago, we were buying paddy rice, especially the long grain paddy rice, which is a premium grade. We were buying a metric ton for about 180,000 naira. But now a metric ton of a long grain paddy rice is hovering around 390,000 to about 420,000 naira. So at the point of the supply from the farm itself, there has been tremendous increase in the price of the commodity. And then when you also add the cost of processing, which has escalated because most of the inputs for processing are generally imported. Again, we can see what is happening to energy cost. So a lot of these rice, when processed in the hinterland, are also moved to the cities where they are sold. So when the cost of the logistics involved in transportation from the farm gate first to the mills, and then from the mills to the markets, they have all increased tremendously. We know what the price of diesel is now, and the price of fuel. So it's essentially cost-propelled inflation that has seriously affected the price of rice. But however, you have already mentioned there are various kinds of rice. We have the short grain rice and we have the long grain rice. The prices are not the same. I have seen some prices quoted from the northern part of the country hovering around between 40 and 50,000 naira per bag. They may be for short grain. Long grain will also a little bit be higher than that, maybe around 55,000 naira in the hinterland. But when transported from the hinterland to the market, especially Lagos. At a point in time not long ago, the cost of a 40 metric ton trailer cost about 1.5 million naira from Niger State to Lagos. That used to be less than about 500,000 naira in the past. So these escalation in cost are essentially behind the surging price of rice. But if we also drill much further, behind, underpinning all those issues insecurity that has affected the accessibility of farmers to their farms. And then last year, the previous year, a lot of farms were flooded by the serious flood that occurred. So when those two factors are combined, the output from farms declined very, very severely last year for paddy rice. So that perhaps was a major cause of escalation in price. And then you also mentioned the imported rice that also escalated as a result of the market reforms wherein the naira was depreciated as a result of the floating of the naira. So that affected the cost of importing rice into the economy. So essentially, that is a summary of what I can say concerning the high price of rice. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, David. Let's take a quick listen into what the sellers and buyers of rice in the Okeari markets, Lagos Island. Let's hear what they have to say. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Bag of rice in our own is 55,000. 55. Our own Nigeria rice, 55,000 is too much. Don't they say this 1,000? This one before now 250. Oh. Now 1,000 naira. 1,000 naira is 100 much. Make it help us. Now so groundnut every day. If I sell her now, I won't go buy another one. Then go put money on top 4,000, 5,000, 3,000 every day. If she eat 200 naira, no. If you go buy them, you go put another 1,000 on top. You no go gain anything. Why? It's 100 much, no be 2. Make it help us. 55 for a bag. Foreign rice, that one don't reach 70. 70, 80.
Compared to last year.
Well, this year, the thing where we sell are now, right now. So everything is too much. It's 100 much, no be 2. Make it help us. This one, you know good.
As at last year is just a week ago. We are buying a bag of rice at the rate of some are 68, some are 65. We do sell it 70. Some are, the lowest price we bought is 56, which is all this Pretty Lady, tomato rice, and some others. Okay, so but as at now, we are still buying the same price. Okay, but why? There's no difference in prices now. Why? Bag of rice is buying as at now 68, because we have two types of rice, long grain, short grain. The long grain, we are buying it, let's say 67, we do sell it 69. While the short grain, we buy it 58 to sell it 59, 60. It depends on the companies. We have so many companies that are producing rice, and their cost of production is different from each other's. So definitely the price of the rice must be different.
Because when I want to buy now, I bought half a bag at the rate of 35K.
You've heard what the sellers of rice have to say, but they kept saying something about, that this year it has increased even more than it was during the festivities. Now the festivities are over, right? One would expect that prices would start to drop, but surprisingly they seem to be increasing. What do you have to say about this, Mr. David?
Yeah, it's got to do with the dynamics of supply and demand. The indication, therefore, is that the demand was heightened during the period of festivities, but apparently it's like the supply side has not matched up with the demand in terms of replenishing the stocks that had depleted during the period of festivities. So if the price is still increasing the market, it therefore indicates that there is still a supply side constraint, that there is slowdown in the supply of rice in the market, and this may perhaps be traced to the state of the foreign exchange market, where we still have scarcity of hard currency that may have stifled importation of the commodity. And then from the hinterlands, we can view it from the perspective of insecurity, that perhaps as a result of the insecurity, several farm produce are able to make their way to the mills, or that those that have been processed already are finding it difficult to make their way to the market places. So those are likely to be the reasons behind still the increasing price. So there is therefore a serious disequilibrium now between the supply and the demand of the product. So that is why perhaps the price is still increasing right now. So not until the supply situation gets better, perhaps we may still be having increasing price for the commodity. Thank you.
All right, now, Mr. David, from the report, we see that Ofada rice is priced at 95,000 naira to 100,000 naira. That is way higher than even the rice that is being imported. Why do you think this is? Because Ofada rice is produced right here in Nigeria. So why is it so expensive? Would you say it's due to its high demand? How would you place it?
Yes, you know, high demand is a basic factor in determining the price of a commodity vis-a-vis the supply. And then the Ofada rice is a premium grade kind of rice, which commands a lot of extra premium from the sellers. Is a special kind of condiment that people appreciate a lot. So the demand for it should be high, but perhaps the supply is not able to match the demand at any point in time, in which case there is still a huge supply gap as far as Ofada rice is concerned. So notwithstanding, therefore, that it is produced locally, the disequilibrium between supply and demand would always orchestrate the price until perhaps the supply gap is filled locally. You know, although the product is produced locally, but if you also look at the cost inputs that goes into the production of that Ofada rice, I know that the area where it is farmed most is in the Ofada area of Ogun State, not very far from Lagos. There, land is a major constraint. Land is not as expansive in the Ogun area as perhaps in Kebbi and all other areas of the country. And then if you also look at the equipment for milling, you know, a lot of these equipment, even though they are basic milling machines and equipment, they are all imported, both the equipment and the spare parts. And so the cost of running those milling outfits, the cost is very, very high. Then when you now also add the cost of energy and power, because a lot of these mills that are processing these commodities, they have to generate their own electric power, so that consumes a lot of energy, So those are the factors that actually escalate the prices of these locally produced commodities. I am not aware that insecurity is part of what perhaps is hindering the massive supply of further rice. But I think the cost of production may be behind the high cost of the product in the market. And secondly, because of the high demand too, there is still a supply gap, and it's a premium product in the market. So I think those are perhaps the main reasons for the high price of further rice. Apparently, it commands a higher premium than other grades of rice in the market. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. David. Now, let's also look at rice as a commodity. Rice is one of the major food items consumed by Nigerians. Now, what can the government do? Because these even the sellers of these products are complaining bitterly about the hike in prices. What can the government do to, to mitigate this whole process and just help Nigerians?
Yeah, the situation affecting rice is also affecting other commodities and food items in the country. Although that of rice is very visible and pronounced because of the high demand for the product. Now, if you analyze the main causes of food inflation in the country, we have already identified insecurity as a major factor underpinning the decline in supply. We have also identified the impact of imported inputs in milling these products. Then we have also identified the high price of energy, which affects logistics in the movement of the products from the farm gates to the mills and then to the market. So all these constraints are they are available in the public domain. So how can government intervene to solve this situation? Well, the issue is actually the very, very huge supply gap for the product. The demand is there, the demand is quite high, there is a large market for it, but the supply is the major constraint. And so government has to come up with fiscal policies. This time around, in the past, government intervened through monetary policies. You know of the program which central bank ran for a very long time in respect of the anchor borrowers program, which did not materially enhance supply and close the supply gap. Apparently that program failed. That is because the monetary policy has no basis in intervening in an issue that has essentially to do with fiscal economy, which is built on production and trade. So fiscal policies are best suited to drive activities in production and trade, especially as far as commodities are concerned. And so it will therefore be important that long-term fiscal strategies be adopted by government to completely domesticate the value lines that are involved in the production of commodities in the country. There is already a dislocation in the value lines. First and foremost, security. Security requires government's intervention, because in a situation where the farmers are unable to access their farms to either plant, maintain, and harvest, of course, is detrimental to closing the supply gap. And then inputs. Fiscal policies have to be initiated to make inputs available at affordable prices to the farmers. And then farming itself has to change from subsistence primitive farming to completely mechanized agriculture, wherein modern tools and modern agricultural practices will be leveraged to enhance productivity within the agricultural value chain. Because Nigeria is actually an agrarian economy with more than 34 million hectares of land available to be cultivated. Out of these 34 million hectares, less than 10% is actually under active cultivation. So therefore, the supply gap is not surprising at all. But the reason behind this, I have already mentioned endemic insecurity, which the government needs to deal with. But there are rumors from the rumor mill that the federal government is now thinking of establishing forest guards to secure our forests, in the country. Well, that is a right step in the right direction. But beyond that, the community policing is an important, a missing link now that is seriously affecting farm security. So I think in addition to the forest guards, the country may also think of establishing community police, whereby the community will serve as the first responders in the case of any breach of security. Security is a major factor that is behind the yawning supply gap. And then we've also spoken about fiscal policies. So if we are planning to domesticate the agricultural production value chain, it also therefore means that the machinery and equipment that we require to mechanize agriculture, especially rice farming, maize, sorghum, millet, and so on, the staple cereals that the country has comparative advantage in producing. Of course, we cannot achieve mass production if we continue with primitive methods of agriculture, the subsistence method of farming. We have to mechanize agriculture. So that if we have to domesticate that mechanization, it means that Nigeria, the government must come up with strategies that will enable the Nigerian economy produce locally the machinery and equipment that will transform Nigeria's agriculture domestically from subsistence agriculture to mechanized agriculture, so that the vast unutilized hectares of arable land will be brought under cultivation.
Thank you very much.
So that is as far as
okay, that was nicely put. Now, speaking honestly now, do you see these prices coming down in the foreseeable future? Because, for a period of time now, for a few years, we've just been having, the prices of rice specifically increasing, it just keeps increasing exponentially. Now, do you think there is a chance where these prices will just start to come down drastically?
Yes, it's possible if the appropriate fiscal policies are deployed. And then also, you know, why the reason why the prices of these commodities are escalating over time is also because of the high growth of the population of the country. You know, the population is growing excessively. And so that is also putting very heavy pressure on the demand for staple food. So if the country is to match up the production of food with the growth in population, which is excessive as of now, then appropriate fiscal policies will have put in place. But just like you mentioned, the prices will eventually go down. For instance, the recent escalation in prices we have witnessed can be linked to the recent market reforms, wherein the subsidy on fuel was removed. The subsidy on foreign exchange was also removed. So the rates are now market determined, and then we've experienced a heavy increase in the price of fuel, and then depreciation of the naira. So, but this year we expect the Nigerian economy to adjust appropriately to the new price levels. That is number one. Secondly, as far as energy is concerned, we know that many refineries are coming on stream, and so that is going to moderate the rising price of energy in the country, you know. So that will reduce the cost of producing these commodities in the country. And I know that with Dangote refinery and fertilizer coming in, the inputs, a lot of inputs will also be available for agriculture. Then, most importantly, if the government is able to establish firm security order and make farm security possible in the country. Of course, over 90% of the source of declining supply will be arrested, you know. So, and I believe that the government will not fold its arms, that the government will face insecurity with the kind of attention that it deserves, so that insecurity will be eliminated, especially from the farm areas. I therefore will believe and hope that this year that we'll start seeing moderation in food inflation in the Nigerian economy. Thank you.